Hey guys, welcome to the video and another segment of Hacking Modding Mondays news and info. This is a weekly segment where I bring you some general news and information surrounding the hacking, modding, and piratey scenes. Things that I think you might find interesting or useful regarding current gen and previous gen hacking modding, as well as some other platforms like PC and Raspberry Pi and Android and other smart devices and whatnot. Things that are also pretty much in line with this channel. We're reporting this stuff primarily over the past week since the last segment. And as we go along every week, we'll be improving these segments, as now I have my new PC up and running, and you'll see the quality of the videos and the editing and all that good stuff will get better, along with its own opening and all that good stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into things this week, as we did last week with the PS3. Alright guys, so there's not a whole lot going on the scene since last week. Just a couple of things to note. CFW, still the only ones that have been released is by Overflow. We haven't seen anything from Ferrix or Habib or Rebug as of yet. Those of you running Hen, you can run 484 Hen with 485 HFW, which is the hybrid firmware. Now, we covered this in last week's episode, so I'll put a link in the description there. There's also ways that you can spoof Hen with a text file, and those of you on custom firmware can run Send Enabler. So I cover all of that in that video. It has links and all that in the description of that one. I'll put that video here in this description. The only other thing of note is that the Flash Dumper officially has been updated to 2.0.2, which adds 485 support. Now, this is mainly for those of you who have a PS3 that can be fully jailbroken. This Flash Dumper is what you use, obviously, to dump the BIOS and check them, make sure they're clean before you use the Flash Writer to then, reconfigure the BIOS and make them ready to be able to handle the installation of custom firmware. But the Flash Writer has not been updated yet, although the developers have said they are close to finishing it. So I don't think it'll be that much longer before we see the Flash Writer also get updated to 2.02 as well. And for those of you who can't wait for that Flash Writer to get updated and come out, you can always use the latest PS3 dump checker. It has been updated to 485, so I'll put a link in the description here on this page, and you can come to the latest compiled version and get the exe file from there. You guys should already know how that works, just in case you want to do this the old-fashioned way using an E3 flasher. The last thing on the PS3 is this thread that I posted here over at PSX Place, where I mentioned how I figured out that, at least for me anyway, it seemed like HFW firmware was causing an issue with my external Elgato capture device. So basically what was happening is I can see, and I mentioned this in previous videos, I can see the XMB and capture it on my PC just fine. But once I went into like a game and gameplay, or I went into a homebrew, my Elgato was showing no signal, even though on the TV it was displaying just fine. So it turns out the culprit is HFW, and once I sorted out to what it was, then everything is working fine again. And basically, after installing HFW, you have to rebuild the PS3 database through safe mode, and then everything will go back to normal. This is even before you install CFW or Hen, it doesn't matter. Once HFW was installed, I kept having this problem. So yeah, if you want to read more about it, you can check out this thread here. And next up, we are going to cover a couple of things regarding the Switch. First of all, tinfoil was updated, and it looks like it was updated to 3.02, although I haven't installed the latest version. It does state it's 3.02 here, and you can check out some of the release notes as well. Although when you scroll down to the bottom and you're checking the release notes or changelog or whatever, there is a 4.00 here, so I don't know what it's displaying actually on the Switch. I guess you guys can find that out on your own, and I'll find out later on. So yeah, you can check out the changes here, and the download tab is there. And Gold Leaf was also updated a few days ago to 0.7. And again, you can check out the changes here on the change log, and down at the bottom, of course, you have your various downloadable files. The next thing for Switch is something that's not really new, but just in case it flew under your radar, I think it's pretty interesting. On a modded Switch, you can get certain games to run at 60 frames per second. Now, this is not a homebrew, it's not software or an app or anything like that. This is just some people who mod certain files of certain games and can get them, I guess, to run at 60 frames. Obviously, you need a modded Switch for this, and most of the time this only works in handheld mode, although a fair amount of the time it does seem to work in dock mode as well. But if it doesn't, it'll just revert back to 30 frames. I'm going to put a link here to the Reddit Switch hack scene site and to this thread, which is titled "A Bunch of 60 FPS mods part 5, and here Fire Emblem 3 Houses and Risk of Rain 2 are listed as 2 more games that have the 60 FPS mod. Again, you just kind of have to depend on, somebody else. If you can't do this yourself, on someone else doing it, and not every game can be done. Whenever it can, they will post it up and give you the information and or files you'll need it in order to get the game running at 60 FPS. These downloads are not of the whole entire game. Obviously, they're sometimes just of the files that you will need in order to get it to run at that 60 FPS. While here, if you want to look for more threads and for more games, you can just come up here and type 60 FPS. And you'll get a list of results, but fair warning, in those list of results, you're going to see a bunch of porn stuff that people have gotten certain movies to run at 60 FPS, I guess, on the Switch. And, they have a thumbnail that shows everything, so that's why I'm not showing it here, and I don't feel like editing all those thumbnails, so yeah, be warned. But if you scroll down a bit, you'll see other threads with the 60 FPS mods, and then you'll come across part 4 and part 3 and so on. Alrighty, so for the Vita, I'll put a link in the description to this page here in case you guys haven't seen it or used it or anything. I think it's pretty interesting. It has a bunch of homebrews listed on here in order of their release. So these top ones going across here are the most recent ones and have been released over the last week or so. And then as you go further down, you can see the ones that are a little bit older. There's also some plugins over here, some PC tools. So if the Vita is your thing and you haven't come to this page yet, it might be something to look into. And over on Aesthetic's YouTube channel, I'll post a link here in the description. He shows you how to install Henkaku on a 3.72 firmware Vita, and then how you can downgrade it using Modoru in order to get to 365 so you can use Enzo. I really like his tutorials. He's also just genuinely a nice guy, so you can check that out if you want. And moving on to 3DS, 2DS systems, an update to the popular PKSM Homebrew has been released, and I think it was released today or a few hours ago. It's up to 7.0.0. This, of course, is a Pokemon type homebrew. You can just check out the changes here. Now, in all honesty, I've never ever used this, so I don't know what here is new and what isn't, but feel free to glance over it. And of course, down below are the various files for you to download. And lastly, for the 3DS, going back to the Aesthetics channel, he's posted up a tutorial here recently that shows you how to try and fix the ARM11 exception. So when you're getting an exception error occurred here and it shows that it's the ARM11 type error or warning or whatever you call it, he's going to show you here a method on how to get it hopefully fixed. Now, it's not guaranteed that it'll work, but there's a good possibility that it will work. So if you come across this problem or you're experiencing this problem, you can watch the tutorial on how to hopefully get it resolved. All right, and lastly, we're going to finish out today with RetroArch. There's another revision to their 1.7.8 release. Now this is version 3 or V3. I'll put the link in the description that'll bring you here, and you can see some of the changes. But some of the more interesting points is BSNES HD released now for Windows, Linux, Android, soon on iOS. Although I think I saw a link somewhere that said the iOS one just released, but I'm not really sure. I didn't see where it went and I lost it. But anyway, there's a little demo video here that you can check out on the BSNES HD core, which is pretty impressive. They show it here in HD mode 7 off, and then they'll show the game with it on, and it just looks a lot clearer and a lot smoother. Here it is with it on. So this video shows a couple of different games with the HD mode 7 on and off. Also, the Flycast WinCE core is now 30% faster on average, along with some sound improvements, and a world first, Windows CE Dreamcast games are running on Android, and you can see some of the highlights here, plus just some other things in general that you can come here and check out that have been changed in the version 3 of 1.7.8. All right, and sometimes it can be a little bit confusing when it comes to RetroArch as to what is available for your particular platform. So if you want to make life a little bit simpler for you, I'll put a link in the description that will bring you here. You can come and click on the stable tab or stable folder, and then you could go to the latest version of RetroArch, which in this case is 1.7.8. Click on that folder, and then you can see the different platforms here, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the particular one that you are looking for RetroArch, the latest RetroArch for, will be here. Because, for example, if we were to click here on PlayStation, you can see that 1.7.8 is available on PS2, PSP, and Vita, but there is no PS3 version available yet. So that means if I want the latest PS3 version, I'll have to try and find it in the 1.77 tab or 176 tab or whatever. But in this case, if we go here to 178 and you do see your platform, you can just click on it, and then the download files will be right there for you to get, making it ultra convenient. Well, that's it for today, guys. You know, I appreciate you for watching. And if you found anything here to be informative, beneficial, interesting, or if you just want to show some appreciation or love towards the channel, the best way to do any of that is to, of course, hit the like button on the video. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to be notified when I release content throughout the week, then just make sure you click on the notification bell to do so. Much love going out to all of you guys as always. It's a crazy world out there. Please be careful, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.